Welcome in, everyone, to Lively Lewis Stories.
That's right. We're back with even more awesome adventures with Levi and Ivy.
Set your storytime meter to fun and get ready to join the Lively Lewis crew.
All you need is your imagination and...
Off we go! I can't wait to see where our story takes us today.
Have you ever wanted to get more Lively Lewis in your life?
Well, we've got you covered.
Grab an adult and zoom over to livelylewisshop.com.
Or just click on the link in our show notes.
Enough about that. Let's get to today's super Lively Lewis story.
Hey friends, this is part 2 of Making Time for Everything. If you haven't listened to part 1, run over there and listen to part 1 and then join us back here. Hannah could tell that Levi and Ivy were upset and disappointed to not be able to share their story ideas with their parents that day, so she had to think of something to do. "What do you say we have a reverse lunch today?" asked Hannah. It took Levi and Ivy a minute to even react to what she was saying, but when they did, she explained that a reverse lunch was when you eat dessert first. Levi and Ivy liked the sound of that, so off they went to grab some ice cream inside. Although they didn't forget about how disappointed they were to not see their parents, ice cream was a good way to try and forget about it. The day went on, and Levi and Ivy continued to play with Hannah and enjoy some tasty extra cheese pizza for dinner. Then as they helped Hannah clean up the dishes from dinner, they waited anxiously for their parents to walk through the door. Then once again, Hannah's cell phone buzzed. "Are they on their way?" asked Levi, knowing it must be his parents. "Not exactly, buddy," said Hannah. "They won't be home for a few hours. They said for me to put you two to bed, and they would for sure see you in the morning." "What's making them stay out so long?" asked Ivy. Hannah texted back Ivy's question because she felt it was an answer they deserved to have. The response she got said that their all-day meeting turned into dinner with the head writer for the cartoon, where they were discussing some scripts that they needed completed sooner rather than later. Levi and Ivy's parents told Hannah to tell the kids that they loved them, to have a great rest of their night, and they would see them in the morning. "Don't be so upset, kiddos," said Hannah, sensing how sad Levi and Ivy were. "Your parents said you could have ice cream for dessert if you'd like." Then Levi said something that he thought he would never say. "No thanks, I'm not in the mood for ice cream tonight." And then he turned around and went upstairs to his room. "Yeah, I don't think ice cream can help us feel better," added Ivy as she followed Levi up the stairs. Hannah knew they needed some time and let them hang out in their rooms for a bit. Levi and Ivy talked about how they were feeling, and after a few minutes, they walked back downstairs. "You know what, Hannah? Ivy and I talked about everything, and we know Mom and Dad have a lot of work to do because they just started this new job," said Levi. "And days like this aren't going to happen too many more times." "Yep, I'm sure days like this will only happen once in a while," added Ivy. "So they got this one out of the way already, and moving forward, everything will be back to normal." Hannah smiled, happy that Levi and Ivy had talked how they were feeling and landed on an answer that made them feel good. However, being a bit older, Hannah knew that long days and nights at work were something that could happen more and more, especially if it's a big job, like writing for a cartoon, and on top of that, a job that you just started. She decided to quickly change the subject, asking Levi and Ivy if they wanted to play a board game. They did, and before they all knew it, it was time for bed. Levi and Ivy drifted off to sleep, and when they woke up the next morning, they did so with the expectation that their mom and dad would be waiting downstairs to see them. They were even more excited that second morning, waking up, ready to share their story ideas with their parents. That is, until they got downstairs. And no, Hannah wasn't waiting to greet them again, but neither were both their parents. "Hi, Mom." "Where's Dad?" asked Levi as he gave her a hug in the kitchen. Ivy did the same thing, and they both sat down at the kitchen table with their notebook full of ideas for Captain Kablam and Super Boom. "We missed you so much yesterday," said Ivy. "We're just so happy that you got that long day out of the way, so now we can get back to normal." "Back to normal and share some great writing ideas we have with you," said Levi with a big smile. "So is Dad going to be up soon?" Levi and Ivy's mom smiled and got some breakfast ready for her kids as she explained what was going on for the day. "So your dad is already up and out of the house," she said, knowing they weren't going to take that news well. "What?" Levi exclaimed. "Where is he?" added Ivy. "And when is he coming back?" "Well, he will be back soon, but it's going to be another long day for him and me," Levi and Ivy's mom began. We need to write an entire episode that has to be reviewed by the other writers by the end of the week, and we want to make sure it's amazing because it's our first one. So Dad and I will be working at the house, but we need your help." This was it. Just what Levi and Ivy were waiting for. They were going to be pulled in to help with the story ideas and writing. Finally. "Awesome!" they both shouted. "We have so many great ideas, like we started telling you the other day," said Levi. "We'll get the best script done in no time at all," added Ivy as she started to flip through the notebooks of ideas in front of her and Levi. "Well, actually, this first script, your dad and I are going to write by ourselves," said Levi and Ivy's mom. "I'm sorry, you two. We were given a story idea by the head writer. We have to work off of that, so we don't need your help just yet." "Oh, okay," said Levi. "Then what are we going to do while you're working? How can we help?" "Since we'll need time to concentrate on the script, Dad went to pick up Grandma to come over and watch you here," said Levi and Ivy's mom. "We thought that would be best because you'd have all your stuff here to play with and your friends in the neighborhood. Does that make sense?" "Yep, it makes sense," said Ivy. "But it doesn't make us feel good," whispered Levi to his sister. Shortly after breakfast was done, Levi and Ivy's dad walked in with their grandma. They were very happy to see her, but still disappointed that they couldn't help with any of the writing. But they knew this was a big deal for their parents and they wanted to be helpful. And they assumed that something like this would only happen once in a while, and in no time at all, everything would be back to normal, and then their parents would have time to listen to all their great ideas. Well, unfortunately for Levi and Ivy, that wasn't exactly how it happened at all. Day after day, Levi and Ivy's parents were pulled in different directions, all having to do with work. Day after day, Ivy was taken to karate or art classes by her friends' parents instead of her own. And day after day, Levi was driven to soccer or guitar lessons by his grandma or Hannah's parents. Levi and Ivy noticed that they weren't seeing their parents as much as they were used to, and they really missed it. And so did their parents. Yes, their mom and dad made it to their games, recitals, and other activities, but they often seemed distracted or had to take calls or answer emails while they were there. They didn't have meals together all the time like they used to, and sometimes bedtime would come and go without a story. And then there was their special tradition of ice cream Sunday. The first Sunday, they missed it. Levi and Ivy let it go because their parents had just finished up their big first script and had a long video meeting with all the other writers to work on some finishing touches. Then the second time they missed it, Levi and Ivy gave it a pass too. They were really proud of their parents and so excited to someday be involved with what they were doing that they let it go. But the third and the fourth time they missed their ice cream Sunday was just too much. Levi and Ivy had to do something. They decided to ask their parents to please take a moment to step away from their work and have a family night in the backyard. Levi and Ivy made decorations, baked brownies with their grandma, set out games to play, and even put together a playlist of their family's favorite songs to play over their outdoor speaker. They put up some twinkle lights, made some lemonade, and set up some chairs and a small table in Ivy's garden. Then they waited. And waited. Then finally their parents walked outside looking tired and a bit stressed out. "Mom and Dad, please come over here and take a seat," said Levi. "You look like you need it," said Ivy. A few days before this, Levi and Ivy had a talk. They knew their parents loved them more than anything, and they knew that everything they did for them, to better their lives, to make them happy, and to provide them with everything they could possibly ever want or need. And they both understood this new job was one of those things. It was a wonderful, super cool opportunity, and they never wanted to make their parents feel bad for all the work they were doing. They just wanted their parents to know that they were proud of them, but also that they missed them. And they hoped at their backyard family night that they could all talk and work out a solution to this problem, because they knew how much their parents missed them too. Levi and Ivy's parents each took a seat in the garden, but not before looking at their phones. "I'm sorry, but we are going to have to take those from you," said Ivy. "We are your important meeting tonight," Levi added with a smile. And it was at that moment that Levi and Ivy's parents knew it was time to listen to their kids. They handed over their phones and took a breath. Levi and Ivy told their parents everything that was on their minds, how they missed them, how they were proud of them, how they were there to help wherever they were needed, but also how they had to spend some more time together. "Wow, thank you for planning all of this," said Levi and Ivy's mom with tears in her eyes. "We have missed our normal family routine as much as you. I guess we were just so distracted by our new jobs that we just kept going and didn't realize how much time and how many things had passed by." I completely agree with your mom, added Levi and Ivy's dad. We're sorry these last few weeks have been so busy for us. Thank you for being such great kids and letting us do everything we needed to do and to give this great opportunity all we had to offer. We're always going to be here for you, Mom and Dad. But it hasn't just been a few weeks. It's been a few months, said Ivy. I know that because sunflowers take just over 2 months to grow, and we planted these with Hannah the first day you started writing. Then Ivy turned and pointed toward a large group of sunflowers towering over their heads in the garden. Her mom and dad looked up in awe, so impressed by what she had grown. I can't believe it's been that long already, said Levi and Ivy's dad. I'm sorry we missed this and everything else the two of you have been doing this summer. I'm sorry too, kids, but I know just how you feel, said Levi and Ivy's mom. Then they went on to tell their kids stories of when they were little and their parents had busy jobs that sometimes got in the way of their family time. Their parents at one time felt the same way that Levi and Ivy felt right then, so they knew what their kids wanted to hear next. Levi and Ivy, you know how much we love our new jobs. And we know how much you love our new jobs, began their dad. I think it's about time that we take a look at some of your amazing story ideas and see how we can work them into some upcoming scripts. You know, all of us working together. What do you think about that? We would love that, shouted Levi and Ivy at the same time. But we'd love something else even more. Can I take a guess at what that other thing is? Asked their mom. You want us to get back to how things were before we took this new busy job. Levi and Ivy nodded their heads, but then Levi said, we know it can't go back to exactly how it was, and that's okay. We know you'll find new schedules that work for us and the new ways to share our time, and we're excited to add this new job into our family and all the cool stuff it brings with it. I think we just need to talk about it, how it'll work now without giving up all the family stuff we already love so much before the new job began. That sounds great to me, said Levi and Ivy's mom and dad. And that night, in Ivy's garden with towering sunflowers overhead, Levi, Ivy, and their parents worked out a new way for their job to fit perfectly into their family. As days and weeks and months went on, Levi and Ivy's parents reworked their schedules. So work ended after Levi and Ivy got home from school, leaving time for activities, games, and recitals without phone calls or work emails to answer. Levi and Ivy also knew that sometimes there would be work trips or long days if a special project was being worked on. But they knew that wouldn't be all the time, and they were told beforehand so it wouldn't be a surprise. Then when Levi and Ivy were given the chance to help their parents with some writing ideas, it was amazing. They could have not been happier or prouder to help out and work together as a family. And funny enough, it turned out that a great time to have family writing brainstorming meetings was on Sunday nights. And something that helped them think of great ideas just happened to be ice cream sundaes. So with that wonderful tradition back in place, Levi and Ivy found a new balance in their family. This balance allowed their parents to work to achieve their dreams while providing for their kids, as well as giving everyone the chance to work together and share the creative experience. And the first time that Levi and Ivy ever saw one of their story ideas brought to life on their favorite cartoon, it was just about the best day ever. But not just because Captain Kablam and Super Boom shrunk Colonel Kant with super shrinking dust from Mars, but because they got to work with their mom and dad to make it all come to life, proving to Levi and Ivy that no matter what life throws at them, their family will always be first. Thanks for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed the story and learned a little something too.
And since we know everyone has their own story, we'd love to hear yours.
If you have an idea for a Lively Lewis story, leave a comment on our Apple Podcast review page with 5 stars, your idea, and your little one's name.
Then maybe our next adventure will be with you.
Until our next Storytime Hangout.
Thanks for listening. We can't wait to share another fun Lively Lewis story with you.